Well, good evening. Welcome to Thursday evening devotions from around the kitchen table, the devotions of Grover Hill Zion United Methodist Church. This evening we are going to have, I'm just going to share with you a little devotion from Job. I was with a group here a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about Job, and I got to thinking about that. Job had a lot of problems in his life, not in the beginning, but in the middle of his life. A lot of trouble came his way, and that happens with us too, doesn't it? Most things go well in our lives, and then every once in a while, a little rain falls on our lives, or sometimes it's pretty tough times sometimes in our life as well. So we're glad you're viewing, and I hope you'll find this helpful as well. Job was a very richly blessed man by God. He had many possessions. He had thousands of camels and donkeys and sheep and oxen. He had a large family, 7 or 8 sons and 3 or 4 daughters. Had a big family. And his family, the kids, they were always partying all the time. And Job would, after those kids would go to some place and have a party, Job would go there and he would sacrifice to the Lord then, seeking the Lord's forgiveness just in case his children sinned against the Lord. He didn't want that at all. He wanted them to be right with God. So Job had many possessions, large family, and God had just lavished him with all kinds of blessings. And even God said that Job was blameless and upright, and he feared God and he shunned evil. And so he had God's favor. One day in heaven we're told that there was a meeting with the angels, and God was there, and then all of a sudden Satan happened to come by as well. Of course, Satan was an angel, he was a high-ranking angel once upon a time. And God said to Satan, "Well, where have you been?" And Satan said, "Well, I've been roaming the earth, going to and fro." And of course, the scriptures tell us that Satan runs around like a roaring lion, seeking who he can devour. But anyway, Satan said, "I'm just going around, looking around, checking things out." And the Lord said, "Well, as you've been checking things out, what about my man Job? Have you considered Job, my man? There's nobody like him in all the earth. He's blameless and upright, and he fears God, and he shuns evil." And Satan replied, "Well, of course, why wouldn't he? I mean, had you not put up a hedge of protection around him, he would just curse you to your face. If you took everything from him, he would just curse you and disown you and have nothing to do with you." And the Lord said, "Well, very well then. I'll prove you wrong. You go ahead. Everything that Job has is in your hands. You can do anything, except you just cannot kill Job. Other than that, you have free reign with Job." So Satan set out to test Job's faith. In one day, Job lost his sons and his daughters in one day when a roof collapsed, where they were partying. They were all killed. His oxen and his donkeys were all stolen by rustlers, and then they killed all of his servants that were overseeing the donkeys and the oxen. And then his sheep were all burned up. His camels were taken. And the rustlers who took the camels killed all of the servants as well. And when Job heard this, he got up and he tore his robe. And he shaved his head, as those were customary, traditional gestures, symbols to express someone's stress and disbelief and sorrow and mourning. And after he did all that, Job fell down on the ground and he worshiped God. And Job said, "Naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." But then, continuing on in chapter 1, verse 22, in all of this, we're told, in all of this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Job made no accusation towards God at all. Later, Satan would cause Job some health problems, some serious health problems. At one point, he was covered with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the top of his head, and he was in misery. He took a broken piece of pottery or short of pottery, and he sat in the ashes with this piece of pottery, scraping the boils and the sores, and again Job was miserable. He could find no relief from the agony that he was going through. But again, we're told that in all of this, Job did not sin or curse God as Satan thought he would. Satan thought he would. Isn't that a lesson for us? Yeah. Well, anyway, Job was innocent of any wrongdoing, of any sin. Job was not at fault for any of these bad things that were happening to him. And so Satan was doing his best to get Job to curse God. He was doing his best to get Job to sin. And then in chapter 2, in verse 9, even Job's wife said to him, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Are you still praising God? Curse God and die. Curse God and take your own life and end your misery." And Job replied to her, "You talk like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? Shall we accept only the good? What about you or me? It's easy for us to praise God and accept good things that come our way, right? But when things aren't going so well, do we still praise God? Or do we curse God when things go sour in our life? Even Job's friends saw that Job did not sin again. And they came and they offered Job some advice to endure what he was going through. And their advice was bad advice, very bad advice, and it angered the Lord. And the Lord threatened to do some things to him. And finally we come to chapter 42 at the end, and the Lord said to Job, "Your friends did wrong, and I'm going to punish them unless you pray." And Job prayed to the Lord, and the Lord forgave his friends. And then he restored a double portion of what Job had lost. Let me just share with you chapter 42, verses 2 and 3, and there's a couple more verses to Job's prayer that he prayed to the Lord, but you can read that on your own. Job said, "I know that you can do all things. No plan of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is it that obscures my counsel with knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know." We do that, don't we? We think of things that we don't know or we understand, or we can't understand. We think of those things and we talk about those things, and sometimes not in a good light. In this world, there are many good things that happen to us in life. And we rejoice and we give thanks when they do. When they come our way, we're happy. Sometimes through perhaps no fault of our own. Bad things come our way as well. And when they do, it might just be that God is telling Satan, consider my man or consider my woman over here. But a lesson for us to learn from Job is, listen, we accept the good things that come our way. We must accept bad things that come our way as well sometimes. That's hard for us to do, isn't it? We always seem to remember the bad things and we forget about the good things that happen to us. Well, maybe the Lord is saying as well, consider this man or consider my woman over here. There's no one like them in all of the world. And Satan will put you to the test to find out if your faith is weak or strong. And if your faith is strong, the Lord will be with you wherever you go. Each step of the way. Each step of the way. So, cling to the faith. Keep the faith. Hold on to your faith. Don't get discouraged. I know it's hard sometimes. Sometimes things are very serious. But God is God, and I don't mean for that to sound trivial, but God is God, and God has promised only good things will come our way in the end. Well, you have a blessed and great week. Okay.